scary things related to giving birth. But before that, I want to know, how many children do you want, or how many do you have if you have children? Only about 10% of women experience their water breaking before labor. For every other woman, the water breaks during labor, either naturally or with the help of a doctor. And normally when it breaks, it's not like the movies where a fountain of water just gushes out all the time. No, more than likely it's going to be water just trickling out. Now, according to Guinness Book of World Records, the record for the most amount of babies born to a woman is 69 babies. Lord have mercy. That's a lot of baby pushing. The mother was a peasant from Shuya, Russia, and she's identified only as the wife of Fyodor Vasilyev. Now, Mrs. Vasilyev, she lived during the 18th century. She had a total of 27 pregnancies, including 16 pairs of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets. 4 sets of quadruplets, how ironic. Now, in giving birth, a lot of bodily fluids are leaked out. With all that pushing, many women experience pooping on the delivery bed. Yeah, it's almost inevitable, so if it happens, don't worry, don't be embarrassed. The nurses and doctors, they're trained for that kind of stuff. Now, on top of that, during childbirth, you will be passing a lot of gas, especially if you receive an epidural. The reason is because after the epidural is administered, a lot of sensation is lost below the waist. That means anything can go. There's no telling what can happen down there. A woman by the name of Stacy Harold, she was only 2 feet 4 inches tall. She gave birth to 3 babies despite doctors telling her that this was very dangerous, because she was so tiny. As a matter of fact, she was the smallest woman to ever give birth. Now, we move from the tiny to the gigantic. So a lady by the name of Anna Bates from Canada, she was 7 foot 11 inches tall, and she gave birth to a boy weighing 22 pounds. This all went down in her home in Seville, Ohio on January 19th, 1879. This child was the largest baby born on record, but sadly, the baby passed away 11 hours later. However, the heaviest baby born that stayed alive weighed 22 pounds 8 ounces and was born to a lady by the name of Carmelina Fedeli from Italy in September 1955. Now, in childbirth, you're not just giving birth to the child. You're also going to have to get the placenta out. So after all that pushing, ladies, you still going to have a little bit more work to do. Now, the thing is, all of the placenta has to come out because it can pull apart into different smaller pieces, and if left inside, it can make you very, very sick. So to make the whole placenta come out, doctors have to push on your stomach and several other stuff to get it out. Now, as it turns out, babies' heads are very, very soft, and they don't become really hard until months later or even years later. But because the baby's head is so soft, the head can be a little bit weird looking, and for the most part, their heads don't regain their natural shape right away. So if your baby is looking a little bit alien, don't worry, it's natural. And as you can imagine, giving birth takes a toll on the body. I mean, especially with oversized babies. So the recovery process will involve bleeding. And not just a regular type of bleeding, like egg-sized blood clots will, from time to time, fall out. Contractions are what most women say was the most painful part of giving birth. But did you know that contractions don't stop after giving birth? Most mothers will have contractions for the first few days after birth. Those muscle cramps are the body's way of stopping excess blood loss. Now, the most babies that were born at one time without dying were delivered by a lady by the name of Nadia Suleiman. You guys may know her as the Octomom. But her babies were conceived through in vitro fertilization, and they were born on January 26, 2009. She gave birth to 6 boys and 2 girls, so 8 total at the same time. Not like at the same time, but like at the same time. The youngest mother to give birth was a girl by the name of Lina Medina. She was just 5 years old, and she gave birth in May of 1939. The oldest woman to give birth was an Indian lady by the name of Amkari Panwar. She gave birth to twins at the age of 72. This was back in June of 2008. She also conceived by in vitro fertilization, and the children were delivered via C-section. Now, contrary to popular belief, the best way to give birth is not actually to lie down. Because as you lie down, you don't have the gravitational pull to help with the delivery process. Giving birth in a squatting position actually reduces your chance of needing a C-section. Now this may come as a shock to many people, like it surprised me for real. But women actually can orgasm while giving birth. Now before you go, what? How could giving birth be sexual in any way, shape, or form? Just remember this. There's a lot of pressure on the vaginal canal throughout the whole process, as well as the woman's partner that helped make the baby oftentimes is there cheering her on. So what happens is there's that connection between the two people, as well as the expectancy of a child being born into the world. So there's a level of intimacy, a rush of emotions, and when you combine that with this physical roller coaster that the woman is experiencing, it can absolutely lead to a sensual experience. So guys, there was your facts on giving birth. Thank you for tuning into FTD Facts. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, as well as share it with anyone that you may know that is planning to give birth sometime. And also, if you are new to FTD Facts, don't forget to subscribe to be notified of future videos. We keep you up to date every single week on facts about anything from the human body, outer space, science, facts about technology, anything that you're interested in.
Isn't that fun?
It was fun, it was good.
Alright, okay.
A lot at once.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. Okay, moving to a little bit less intense.
I have another question about the epidural.
Please.
So if you get the epidural later, of course when you give birth, after the baby comes out, doesn't it take a while to wear off?
It does, like usually about an hour or two before you can walk.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically after you're done like delivering the placenta and getting any stitches you need, hopefully you don't need any, but if you do need some, we turn it off then. And then it takes about an hour or two to wear off. Next week we'll really dig into epidurals and we'll learn more. Anything else that cropped up for you watching that? It's a lot of stuff.
Squatting during birth. So I know there was the other pamphlet I forgot.
On
The
the
birth
birth plan
plan,
is an option.
It shows like different options.
Okay, so in class 4, we're going to talk about pushing strategies.
Okay.
And I have some really strong feelings about this. It has a lot to do with your nurse, because the doctor or midwife usually come in the last 10 or 15 minutes, that's it. But you might push with the nurse for a couple of hours before the doctor comes in. And so the agreements you make with your nurse about how to push are kind of important. And most people don't take a class, so they have no idea how to push, so the nurse just directs it. And unfortunately, a lot of people are told to push on their backs, which is not ideal. So there's just other options, even with an epidural, of how to push. Mostly laying on your side is better than pushing on your back. We'll just talk about some options in the push class.
Okay.
So, think about your baby as who's been bowling this year? Right. How much did the bowling ball weigh?
15 pounds.
15?
15.
What about the girl ball?
I used the 86-pounder.
6 or 8, yeah.
I used the 6.
Okay, so like the 8-pound bowling ball, that's like how much your baby weighs. Imagine if you're laying on your back trying to push that bowling ball versus if you're upright, how much easier it would be to push that baby out, like weighing 8 pounds like that 8-pound bowling ball, right? So whenever we can, we want to really like use gravity to help us. So we'll just talk about some strategies, especially even with an epidural. We'll see a video about how to push. Okay.
The last few weeks of pregnancy can be challenging for many women. They often feel physically uncomfortable, and they may be anxious, but excited about meeting their baby for the first time. Sometimes minor problems or worries arise that can add to their anxiety, and women may feel pressured to induce labor, even when it would be safe for labor to begin on its own. It's important to remember that induction actually means forcing your labor to begin before your body and your baby are ready for birth. Induction can be a difficult and lengthy process, and in some cases it may not work at all. Research has shown that induction significantly increases your risk of having an unplanned cesarean surgery. It also increases your risk of needing epidural anesthesia or other drugs for pain relief, having a vacuum or forceps-assisted birth, or having a low birth weight baby. Letting labor begin on its own is usually the easiest and safest option for several reasons. Medications that are used for induction can make contractions stronger, longer, and more frequent than naturally occurring contractions. This can make labor more painful and tiring, and in some cases may cause distress to the baby. In addition, an induced labor usually requires having an IV and continual electronic fetal monitoring, which makes it more difficult for you to change into positions that can make you more comfortable and help your labor progress. Finally, when your labor begins on its own, you will feel confident knowing that both your body and your baby are ready for childbirth. Sometimes a medical condition or complication makes labor induction necessary for the safety of you or your baby. However, induction may also be recommended when waiting for labor to begin on its own would be a better option. It's never a good idea to induce labor for convenience, such as wanting your baby born on a certain day. Research also shows that in healthy pregnancies, labor should not be induced because a baby is thought to be too big. Care providers often overestimate the size of the baby, even when an ultrasound is used. Inducing for this reason increases the risk of cesarean surgery. To help you decide if induced labor is the best and safest choice for you and your baby, ask your healthcare provider, why are you recommending an induction? What are the risks of waiting until my labor begins naturally? What are the benefits of waiting? Can we try natural alternatives first? Another reason why labor should begin on its own is that it helps you gradually ease into the physical and emotional aspects of childbirth. Many women consider the earliest part of labor to be an exciting and enjoyable part of their birth experience.
We had a chance to, I think, connect with one another before the birth actually took place. I think that was all very helpful in progressing the labor and just mentally preparing me for what was about to come.
For more information, visit our website at mothersadvocate.org.
Any comments or questions on that one? Which do you think usually goes faster, labor beginning on its own, like the duration of labor, or starting it with an induction artificially? Which labor do you think takes longer?
Inducing.
It does, yeah, it does take longer, because remember, we have to like try and get the body to cooperate when it might not have receptors there yet. Okay, now we're gonna watch a video about just different position changes in labor that you can do.
Many women find that the ability to move around and change positions during labor is the most effective way to manage their pain and help labor progress naturally. Research has shown that women who are confined to bed have more pain and are less satisfied with their birth experience than women who are able to move around.
I need to move.
There isn't one position or movement that will be the most comfortable or effective for every woman during labor. The most important thing is to have the freedom to follow your instincts and try different things. Often, the positions and movements that bring you the most comfort will also help your labor progress. So follow your body's lead during labor to decide what works best for you. During early labor, many women like to be in upright positions and walk around. Then just before pushing starts, they prefer hands and knees or side-lying positions. These positions can also be helpful when pushing, as well as upright positions, such as sitting and squatting. One position that is rarely comfortable or helpful for progressing your labor is lying flat on your back. Your baby might also get less oxygen in this position, which could result in fetal distress. Women are sometimes restricted from moving around during labor because they're connected to hospital equipment such as electronic fetal monitors and IVs. If these are suggested during your labor, ask your healthcare provider if they're necessary and what alternative options you have. If you do need to be connected to any piece of equipment, ask about the availability of mobile devices,
We
which
have
still
that
allow
here.
you to move around and use a variety of positions throughout your labor.
All of the movements helped tremendously during the contractions. Leaning over the bed and swaying just helps because it's a force that is different from the force of the contractions. It really relieved it a little bit to be able to have a movement that was different from the movement of the contraction inside of you.
For more information, visit our website at mothersadvocate.org. Having a labor support team that is informed, encouraging, and experienced is an important part of having a safe and healthy birth. In fact, research confirms that the better the support is that women receive, the easier their labor is, and the more satisfied they will be with their birth experience. Additionally, when you feel safe and cared for, your brain produces the hormones that help you relax. This allows your labor to progress, which reduces your risk of needing interventions. Labor is much more manageable when you have labor support companions who can meet your physical and emotional needs and can continue to reassure you even when things get challenging. In addition to having a partner, family member, or friend present at your birth, you may also want to consider hiring a doula. Doulas are professional labor support companions who focus on helping you with comfort techniques throughout your labor and birth. Women who have continuous support from a doula or other trained labor companion are less likely to have a cesarean birth or other medical interventions and are more likely to have positive feelings about their childbirth experience. It's also important to have a peaceful birth environment. This can play a critical role in your comfort and the progress of your labor. Consider having only a few key support people with you during labor and wait until after the birth to invite others to visit. Keeping your room quiet, calm, and private will help you relax, stay focused, and be comfortable enough to follow your body's natural instincts.
I thought it would be nice to have another woman there who has experienced birth herself and who has helped out with other births.
She really helped me to feel confident in myself and that I was capable of doing labor and birthing a baby.
For more information, visit our website at mothersadvocate.org.
Okay. So, a doula, let me explain, a doula is completely different than a nurse or a midwife. So, when I'm a nurse at someone's birth, the hat that I wear is I'm responsible for safety for the mother and the baby. And as a side benefit, I want to make sure that they're comfortable and happy. A doula's role at a birth is comfort and happiness and not watching out for the medical stuff, but also just helping, giving them a little informational support and stuff like that. So what a doula would typically do at someone's birth, if you hire a doula, any idea how much? Okay, so a doula would typically like join you at home when you're in labor and stay with you the entire time and go to the hospital with you and stay till about 2 or 3 hours after the birth. And they would stay the whole time, unless it was like really long, and then they'd need a break, so then they'd get their backup doula to come and babysit you for a couple of hours, they'd get a nap, and then they'd come back. So it's always the same person the whole time. And they need to be on call for you for 5 weeks to be ready whenever you call them in to show up, okay? Any idea how much a doula in Denver costs? Anyone check into it? Throw out a guess. Price is right.
$1,000?
You're about right. So if you get a student doula who's still certifying, it could be $200 or $300. And then if you get someone who's an RN who's also a doula, it could be $1,500. But it's around like $800-900. People are kind of like, what? That's insane. But these are the same people who spent like $30,000 on their wedding. Do you know what I mean? Usually they do prenatal visits too to help you with your birth plan and help you decide what you want. Now, they've done research studies, and what they found out is that when you have a doula, you cut your risk of C-section in half just by having that person there. So do you guys remember how many people have a cesarean birth in Denver and at this hospital and nationwide on average?
It wasn't a lot, like 35.
30 to 40%, depending which year it is, okay? So just by having a doula there, you cut your risk in half just because they're really good at helping keep you calm, help that oxytocin flow, help be a personal assistant to the dad, make sure he's getting, like running and getting him meals, and keeping you guys happy, and also helping you with different position changes to help the baby descend and come out and not get stuck, okay? So, some insurances are actually starting to pay for doulas now because they'd rather spend the $1,000 on a doula than $30,000 on a cesarean surgery, okay? And doulas cut the risk. The two reasons why people give why they won't use a doula is number one, they're concerned about the finances. So that's the reason why you might want to check if your insurance covers it, or even consider just getting a student doula to help you. And then another reason is they're concerned that the doula will elbow the dad out of the way and make him redundant, which actually is the opposite. What they've actually found from research is that the dad does more and stays more engaged and more involved when a doula is there than if she isn't there. Can there be a male doula? Yeah, there's one. There was one in Colorado Springs. He's a massage therapist, but I only heard of one before. Usually female. So I like to explain doulas like, you guys ever heard of a Sherpa? It's like, you know, if people climb Mount Everest or Kilimanjaro or one of those big mountains, you can like hire someone to be your guide, and they actually carry your luggage for you while you climb the mountain and show you the way, but they don't do it for you. You still have to do it. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of what a doula is like. They walk with you and they stay with you, and they might be like, hey, like this is, they might come in the room and say this next. So you might want to ask them about this, that, or like they might just let you know, help you anticipate what's going to happen next. That can be really useful. Or they might say, hey, like I feel like you're running up and down the stairs too much. You might want to save your energy. Or hey, if you rub on this spot on her back, it'll really help. And then you jump in and you do that, you know? So yeah, actually the fathers tend to stay more engaged when there's someone there to just help. And as you saw from the video, like that person could be rubbing your back and then you could be holding her hands and talking to her, you know? So people typically didn't say that the doula replaced them. So what the doula brings to the table is knowledge about techniques to use at different phases of the labor. And what the partner brings to the table is you know her. You know her emotions, you know her wishes, you know her emotional limits, and you can feed information to the team about what's the best for her and your baby. So you can't really replace the partner. But it can be nice having that person there to help you know when to leave for the hospital and just other stuff like that. So if you guys are interested in names of doulas in the community who, you know, I suggest or recommend, I can also put you in touch with student doulas if you're interested in that option. And they'll always just have a no obligation interview with you for free, just to kind of let you know a little bit about their philosophy and see if you could be a match. You don't have to do it. But for a first-time mom, it can be wonderful. Like it's kind of like just having someone there to rub your feet is like kind of awesome. And so that's what we kind of do. So anyways, so yeah, they're in the, hold that thought 1 second. The Cochrane Systematic Review, they were able to put 22 studies together. In the first study they did, it was like, it had these amazing medical benefits, and they're like, that can't be right, this is a fluke. And then they did another study, and it duplicated the results, and then they did another study in a different country of doulas, same results. And now they're up to 22 studies and 60,000 women, and they're finding that the results are like across the board, where it improves the outcome of labor and shortens it. So What were you gonna say, Brian?
Are they like self-employed?
Correct, yeah, usually it's just like kind of like a contractor that you just like say, okay, here's a flat fee, and like this will include all our prenatal visits and being on
Okay.
call for us and showing up and being there with us the duration of labor, and if for some reason you can't be there or someone's sick or something, you have to back up, and then they usually do a postpartum.
So they're not tied to the hospital at all?
Correct. And interestingly, some hospitals have their own doula program, but in the studies, they found that women didn't get the same benefits off of the hospital employee doulas. Isn't that weird? And they think that it has to do with the advocacy part, where if you work for the hospital, you're kind of limited what you're allowed to say or do. When you work for the family, you're like,
You're your
just-
own, yeah. Like,
you're their advocate, and you can really speak up and just be like, this is.
would that person count as one of your,
Visitors?
Yeah.
So here the policy is you're allowed to have up to 4 people in the room with you at a time when you're
Gotcha.
giving birth, besides the partner actually, so it's quite a few people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we tend to let women do what they want. Were you gonna say something, Chelsea?
That's what I was gonna
Okay.
ask. If
Yeah.
she was a part of the support team.
I read her mind.
Well, you're obviously together for a reason. Yeah. So it's just something for first-time parents to consider, and they're really, you know, if they're well-trained and certified, they're really helpful. I don't know. I think it's a good idea. But,
Do you ask for referrals, or how does that work?
So I'm a person who can give you referrals because I know this community really well, and I know there are certain people who I don't think are very professional, and I wouldn't recommend them to you. Because you have to remember, I've been a doula, but I've also been a nurse, and I got to watch a bunch of doulas work, right? So there's some that I think are really super, and they really are diligent and professional. And so, you know, I could give you some names, and your doctor might give you some names, but also if you're interested in the lower cost option, I can put you in touch with student doulas who are certified for much less money. They can be really good. So, yeah. All right, so we're gonna finish our class for tonight by doing a little practice. So, Ron, would you mind turning down the lights? And we're just gonna do, we'll just dim the lights.